Good afternoon, everyone. Sunday, episode 33. Right? 33. Always have to check. Freaking cold outside, but it's beautiful at the same time because the sun is beaming out there. It was a lot warmer this morning than it was last night, so the sun does make a big difference. So today, Chris and I, we're going to just continue on life coaching. We'll try and give an example at the halfway or through the end with Andrew, trying to go through
What is it?
Yeah, what it is and what it's like to be approached by someone who's there to help guide you into what you wish to accomplish in your life.
Because there's so much out there. Let's be honest, right? If you go down Facebook, life coach, become one. Wait a minute. If everyone's becoming one, it starts feeling like a pyramid scheme. And let's be honest, it could feel like that. So we really want to break it down to make you understand that it's actually something that could be very helpful, not something you should become, because it's not really something everyone can do. And so let's talk about what it is.
Why can't they do it? Because they're not ready for it. And this is where we will be able to guide you through that. All right? What it is. So basically, my definition of a life coach is someone who's there to help guide you through your goals and what your expectations are, but also unblocking or tips to help you unblock old habits or old patterns that you don't have to necessarily continuously make in the future.
For me, it's like a cheerleader, right? You need that support. You might not get it from family. You might not get it from your significant other. So sometimes you need someone who's professionally able to give you that support. For example, I'm a behavior interventionist, so I know how to support people through their behaviors. As a personal trainer, Anthony,
Or therapist.
say that again?
Or therapist.
A natural therapist.
Natural therapist.
Is someone who will get you moving forwards, because your life has many subjects.
Yeah.
And when you break that down, it's the wheel of life. You should Google that. Wheel of life.
So we end up, not just as a natural therapist or sometimes even life coaches, we bring out emotions that are hard to deal with, but are deep inside that once you overcome these emotions, you unblock those patterns that are blocking you pretty much to proceed in achieving your goals. And what happens is when we are blocking or we are blocked by these certain emotions, it's the ego that takes over and kind of protects you from feeling a certain way so that you don't have to foresee these emotions as a negative. So the ego puts your emotion in the back of your head, but subconsciously it's always going to be there. So no matter what trigger comes your way, you might not think it's a trigger, but subconsciously it's always going to affect you, because your subconscious, it's 90% of your brain. You think 10%, but your 90% is your subconscious. And so once you are keeping the trigger taps into your subconscious, what happens is you get frustrated, you get angry, but you don't even realize why you're getting angry or why you're getting frustrated for a certain X amount of reasons, why you're feeling sad. So this is where the life coach can tap in and bring out that sadness so that you can be aware of it, that you can work with it, and how I like to say, forgive, don't forget, forgive, accept it, and move on. So you dealt with it, now that trigger, you know how to deal with it. When that trigger comes around again in the future, you could deal with it much better, and you could move on. So you don't have to dwell on your emotions any longer.
Now, sometimes you wonder, how does this service work exactly? Now, as a life coach, the idea is that you get support every day. So an ongoing life coach would charge a certain amount for the month, but you would get a message every day to say, hey, how you doing? How's your goals going? And then once a week, you meet up to say, okay, where are you on this goal, and where can we get on this goal? So just so that you differentiate the idea of a life coach and like a psychologist or a therapist,
Or even a trainer,
is that a life coach is really to see where are you in your life right now, while a therapist is really meant to help you with mental illness. somebody who's a personal trainer is to teach you how to get muscles, how to be healthy physically. A psychologist is really someone who helps you with that therapy, but also gives you the medication you need. So
That's a psychiatrist, not a psychologist.
that's it. I screw up with words.
It's easy to get mixed up
But
with.
that's why a life coach can help you guide you to where you need to go. Because sometimes we don't know where to go. And a life coach who's put their life in a way that they're on steady, they know where they're going, can help you go onto that path of your own. Because maybe you don't know what you need till you talk to somebody. And that's what life coaching is. Talking to somebody.
And
Support.
a lot of people need to talk to get through their emotions and to get through what's going on in their lives. A lot of people bottle up a lot of things, and that's even worse because then you end up feeling resentful, feeling rejected, or feeling like lonely, yeah, abandoned, I guess, rejected, abandoned. And once you start talking, you unblock a lot of emotions, and you start realizing, because you're projecting it out loud, and you start noticing the words that are coming out of your mouth. But the life coach can help you realize, look at what you're saying. Look at how here you're positive, here you're negative, here you're not sure, but you're more negative than positive. So these are things that we could look into and to guide you to see how you could proceed in making your life a lot better.
Now, let's talk about the origin of life coaching, all right? So, there is no real association for life coaching, but there's a pro to that, and then there's a con to that. Let's talk about the con for 2 seconds because there's not really much to it. The idea of the con is that if there's no association, there's no deliberate rules telling you how to do it. But see, that's the thing about life coaching. It's anything you want it to be. It's the idea that if you have a knack for something, you do the best you can to teach it to somebody. And Tony Robbins is the guru. He doesn't want to be. He actually made a Netflix original saying, "I'm not your guru." But actually he is. Let's be honest. You ever watch that thing? It's crazy. A lot of crazy stuff happens on it. But see, Tony Robbins will say it himself, "I'm not a psychologist, I'm not this, but I've met the top psychologists in the world. I've spoken to them. I've learned what works, and I've now teaching it to others to do it on themselves." And that in itself just says everything out there is a lesson. It's a self lesson. And that's what he really believes in. And that's what he teaches everybody else to do themselves. For example, if he were to give the service of life coaching, he's going to be very specialized when it comes to naturopath and when it comes to personal training. If it would be to me, I'd be specialized in emotional intelligence because that's what I do. So the idea of life coaching is really to say, are you good at something? Good for you. Go teach about it. Don't be afraid. Don't feel restricted thinking, oh, I can't talk about that. I'm not this. But wait, prove yourself. You know, be proud of what you do know. And that's the origin of it. And if you really want to look back at it, when did degrees even start? 1600s. What was that before that? It was people who knew something and they taught it as a skill. That's it.
Yep. So if you want, we'll ask Andrew to come now.
Sure.
So we'll try and do like a little 10-minute segment of what it looks like with Chris, really. More with what Chris does.
Come on in.
So here's Andrew.
Everybody. Hi, Dr. Nick.
So Chris is going to go on and briefly show or demonstrate what it is to be with a life coach, what tips you could use, or I don't know how Chris works. I never really did it with him.
So here's how we're
neither
going to
have I.
start. Tell me a topic.
Okay, so I've been on workers' compensation for about 2 years now,
Okay.
and currently I'm facing the sobering reality that my knee is probably going to be permanently damaged, and I can't return to the prior career I was in. We've tried a lot of things, and the other parts of my body have improved, but the knee is quite stagnant at maybe 20% function. And this week I'm going to be meeting with my surgeon, and he'll be going over the listed limitations of what they believe will be my future professional limitations. And I don't know what the future holds, or where I should direct myself. Because it's like without doing your work for you, it feels like there's an uncertainty with purpose and a certain mourning of self that has to occur. Like part of myself is dying, and I'm not sure where to place my next step or the first step in that journey.
Well, the first thing is you need support. Right?
Okay.
It's gonna be okay.
Mhm.
And if you ever want continuous conversation,
Mhm.
message me.
Okay.
We can talk about that. Now, when it comes to your purpose, after the session, after the surgery, what's gonna happen? Are they gonna tell you if it's usable or not?
No, actually, I've already had 2 surgeries. It's more like now being on workers' compensation for this long, they're deeming me as unfit to come back to full function and redoing my current career.
And what?
So it's attempting to consolidate the case, I think.
And where are they gonna guide you in there?
I don't know. So the way that the system works, I think they're used to having people struggling with this quite extensively psychologically and emotionally. So throughout the processes, I was like even a year ago, I was like, this is not going to be okay. Your representative tells you that they rather not discuss what work readaptation might look like because they don't want to create the if in case there's a better outcome. So we haven't even discussed it. So what'll happen first is there'll be a decision made by my surgeon. Whatever he signs off on is then what my new work limitations will look like, and then I'm introduced to a readaptation specialist or like a retraining specialist.
So after I hear you, the biggest thing is there's a lot of change that's gonna happen.
Change has a bunch of uncertainty. Like it's dark.
And now, naturally speaking, the thing that happens next is grieving.
Okay.
Do you know the steps of grieving?
I don't. My spouse does.
Good.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the first one is shock,
Okay.
which I think you've already passed because you've been told this a while.
Yeah.
The next thing that happens is denial / wanting to bargain about the idea.
There are parts where sometimes I think, hey, wait, the exercises feel good today. It might get better, and then you realize there's just like there's a wall that hits. Like it just will not progress in certain directions. So yeah,
And then after that comes anger,
that I don't have.
then comes depression,
That I probably had for years. Yeah.
and then and this is where it's very interchangeable, the steps of grieving.
Yeah.
But the last one is acceptance.
Okay.
In
It's
accepting that you are who you are,
yeah.
serenity in the way of accepting what you can change, wisdom to know the difference that what you can and can't change.
It's tattooed on my spouse's leg.
I love it.
The Serenity Prayer.
Love
I'll be honest. It's there's acceptance on a certain number of levels. I'm not entirely sure if there's total acceptance because I don't know what I will be allowed or what I'll be directed into doing. You know.
And that is where we would work on that. We'd meet after the surgery, we'd meet after what they say to you, and then we'd discuss it as a team, making him know he's not alone in this decision. Because sometimes, let's be honest, right? This is life changing.
Huge. Yeah.
And it's not easy to face that kind of stuff by yourself.
Yeah.
And a life coach is there to support you with that kind of decision. To be there to say, hey, don't worry about it, you're not alone. We can weigh out the pros, we can weigh out the cons. And whatever it is that you have difficulty accepting, we'll figure a way to accept it. Meditation, there's always ways to do it. There's new strategies, there's new skills, right? You're more than just your knee.
Is there like a component of it which is like evaluating competencies to help direct towards another field, like identify what do I like, what do I see myself capable of doing?
Well, that's where I have to agree with Anthony in the way that you'll figure it out through your soul searching.
Okay, it's not through our work together kind of thing. Like we ask questions or ask the right questions and we come to.
We will ask those questions.
Okay.
And through that, you will figure it out.
Okay.
But what comes natural to us,
Yeah.
that is what it really comes down to. And you can only do that once you accept everything.
Gotcha.
It's good that you were honest about certain things you can't accept yet, which we're not going to bring up here, but whatever that would be in private, we would talk about.
Can I add?
Yeah, go
It's
for it.
not just the acceptance; it's also no more fearing of what's the unknown to be.
And that's what grieving is, right? It's fearing. Once something happens to you and it's time to change, that's why shock is wow. I've been scared of this for so long. That's where denial second, because you deny it. You bargain with that fear. You say, "Nah, you're not real. You're my friend," and blah blah blah. Then comes sadness because you realize, wow, this fear is real in my life. I'm facing it every day. And then you get angry at that fear. And that's where anger, some people see anger as an evil thing. I don't. Every emotion in us is there for a reason. But how do you
Manage it.
exactly manage it?
Why have I not felt anger in regards to the situation?
You're a very peaceful human being.
Because you probably even came to accept your past more.
Oh, okay. So it's not like a repressed or something because it hasn't felt like that at all during. It's felt like, oh, here's another kind of obstacle. Let's let pitter patter get at her. But I guess sometimes part of me fears that the anger is hidden somewhere and it'll just come out someday. It doesn't feel that way.
Well, listen, like I love to say, yin and yang is to say there's two extremes, right? So one extreme of anger is that you're getting angry at everything, you just want to break everything. But the other side of anger is saying, okay, this is my problem. Here's some anger energy to say, okay, I'm going to fix this problem. I'm going to change the direction of it. Because you need to get angry.
Well, that would be the balance of the yin and yang. 'Cause
Exactly.
You're saying the extreme is always angry, and then the other extreme is never being angry. So the balance would be in the middle.
There you go.
So
That's why we're a team.
so I'm gonna say this because I've been noticing it a lot in my practice lately is that people that are changing, yes, they're fearing the change, but they're also they're feeling more anxious. They're feeling the anxiety. So I posted something on social media a couple of days ago where if you feel it's uncomfortable, then it's the right thing to do. It's what's meant to happen for you because if you're always going to be in your comfort zone, you're never going to feel anxious. You're never going to feel like there's something changing inside you. You're just going to go along your days like nothing's wrong. But when you feel that sense of uncertainty, when you feel that sense of being uncomfortable, yeah, it's going to make you anxious, and yeah, it's going to make you feel like, shit, what the hell's going on in my life? What's going on in my body? What can I do to control it? But really, that's the natural aspect of what change is supposed to happen, is to make you feel anxious because that's what's going to make you grow. It's like when, I always use this example, when you're doing, in hockey, you're doing what's called an overspeed exercise where you're going fast, but eventually you're always going to fall, you're always going to tumble. But that's because the faster you go, the harder it's going to be to control how fast you're going with skating. But the more you practice going at a certain speed, you end up become more fluid at it, and then you could just go faster and faster because you're adapted to a certain speed, and then you got to change to get faster and faster. So you're going to work harder and harder. It's the same thing with being anxious. The thing is whenever we're working to change, you're going to feel anxious, but you got to control the anxiety so that you can let the change happen on its own. And once you feel like you're able to control the anxiety, something else is going to come and make you feel anxious again, and that's where you're going to be stronger and know how to control the anxiety much more efficiently, and you'll just keep growing that way. So my point of this is that when you feel anxious, know that it's not too much of a bad thing, but you got to know how to control it. You got to know how to bring the anxiety to you so that you could make it work in your favor. So that's the best way to look at it.
You're totally right. We feel things for a reason.
Yeah.
Why? Sometimes that has to be broken down for us. And like he just did, that's what life coaching can do. It helps you break down, okay, why is this going on? And if we can, I think I'm going to put a nice video at the bottom of here. It's a great video where sins. They talk about all the 7 sins and what do they mean behaviorally. And it's really cool because sometimes you find envious of somebody, right? You feel jealous. But actually that means that it's something you want in your life. It doesn't mean you have to ruin someone else's life. It means that this is something you would like. So it's okay. It's okay to be jealous because at least it shows you where you're going and what you want to do internally.
Yeah.
So I'm going to find that video and he's going to post it underneath this.
Well, you could just put it in the comment section.
Put it in the comments.
And if anybody wants, just DM Chris right away, and we're gonna put it in the post obviously our names and stuff, so you could directly ask him what the links are, and we'll take it from there.
Any feedback
I
from what I gave to you?
Well, I was actually going to say, if you guys are interested, I don't mind kind of sharing how my life unfolds. So if you guys wouldn't mind to make a regular segment where we do like our touching base weekly, and we talk about, hey, you're working on this, how was this week or how was this month, and then we bring it back to the viewers so they can be like, okay, so I can see the gradual progression. This is
That's
a
a
real
great
problem.
idea,
This is a
yeah.
real this is a real person. This is a real problem, and I can see it. I can follow them through it,
Yeah.
and
Not
it
bad.
might
Yeah.
bring other people.
We could always do like a last 10-minute segment of that, then
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Good job.
So on that note, if you guys could go out get some air, I know it's cold, but dress up warm.
Phone
It's
number?
sunny.
Phone number?
Oh, don't worry.
No.
Just,
Social media?
just contact and social media.
Okay.
Very sweet of you.
That's it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed a little segment. Like we said, we're gonna try and do it more often. Whatever we can share with Andrew's experiences, hopefully it could resonate with you guys, and you guys could take out some tips. Again, everybody's life is personal, so it's always best to see the professional one-on-one. And if you have any other questions, again, message us, and we'll be glad to answer them. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, everybody.
We care.